My name is Jenny Papiano, and I am creating this video so that I can raise awareness on what is happening right now in my life and how I would like to help other people in my situation, which is horrible. And I just want you to hear my story. That's it. So I hope that you listen with an open mind and heart. I know that you don't know me, but I really hope that this video circulates around the internet as a positive video and as one that gives lots of information and fact. And if you have any questions regarding anything I say in this video, please contact me. So this is about a terrible custody battle that I'm going through, and I never thought in my entire life I'd ever have to go through this. And please, if I start crying, it's just because I haven't seen my daughter or spent much time with her in 10 months, and it's really hard. So I'm trying really hard to keep it together. So I am from the state of Illinois, and my ex-husband, or soon-to-be ex-husband, and my daughter live in the state of North Carolina. Now, after I had my baby in 2014, we decided to move from Chicago to North Carolina because his parents were going to live in Asheville. So we thought that it would be a great idea to move there. Now, for the last 10 years that I was with my husband, things weren't always great. I had a hard time. Now, I'm trying to make this as positive as possible. I don't want to slander anybody, and I don't want to insult anyone, and I'm all about peace and love. If you want to know, I own my own company, and I love my company, and it's all about peace, love, and trying to help people. So I don't want to make this negative in any way whatsoever. I want to remain in the positive, and I am just, this is a informational video so that people can see and understand what I'm going through, and not just through the written word, but also through video, so that you can hear my voice and see my facial expressions and feel what I'm feeling and understand better. So, my husband, for the last 10 years, had a really hard time with responsibility. Okay? And I knew that. I knew that going into this. Actually, 2 years into our relationship, I knew that. I knew that it was not going to be an easy road with him. But I continued to stay with him because I was investing my time into him, and I felt that I would be able to get a return on my investment, and that I loved him. I didn't want to just leave him, I believed in him. I believed that we could do anything if we loved each other, and I wanted to help him, honestly. He's very smart. He has a degree, and he has talent, and both of his parents are doctors, and he has a brother that also has a doctorate, and I really loved John. That's his name. So as the years went by, and as I was seeing that he wasn't really being responsible, things got a lot harder for me. I felt that I couldn't trust him, and I didn't really know what to do. I felt that I was begging him constantly to pay the bills and get a job, and I don't know, you name it. I mean, I don't want to sit here and talk about this for the next half hour on how he didn't pay the bills, but that was really the problem that we had, and that I begged him so much. And it wasn't just that, it was that I really didn't know him. we never sat down and talked about bills. We never sat down and discussed finances. I never saw anything he ever made. I never saw a paycheck. I was in the dark. My family would ask me, how are you with somebody that doesn't show you what they make or isn't honest with you? And I could definitely see why they were asking that. Hindsight is 2020, but this is what it is right now, and this is what I'm going through. So I married him 6 years into our relationship in 2012, and then I was a student. I went to school, and it was great, and he was really supportive about that. He was. And then we had our baby in 2014, and after the baby, so I'm forwarding a little bit because this is a long story, and I don't want to make it so that it is just people don't watch this, because I really want people to watch. So fast forward, and we had the baby in 2014 in February. She came a month early. Her name was Gianna Marie, and she's named after my aunt. Well, her name is Gianna because she's named after John, and Marie comes from my beloved aunt, who is no longer with us. But she was wonderful, and she still is wonderful. And after that, I already had anxiety growing up, right? But after I had her, my anxiety got a lot worse, and I didn't want to believe it was anxiety because I was struggling with so much. I thought it was something really physical. My body, yes, I had physical symptoms. My body was burning, and it was just a terrible nightmare to be in this, right? This anxiety. I couldn't even hardly hold the baby or spend time with her or anything like that. Yes, I am getting emotional. John was really good with her. He made sure that she was taken care of, but at the same time, I didn't have any support. And he was more into her and helping her than trying to help me get better. Okay, that's the facts. 2 months, so about 4 weeks after she was born, maybe 4 weeks, it was my birthday, actually. And I had been going through this for 2 months, right? Since February. I was just so out of my mind with anxiety. I couldn't sleep. I wasn't eating. I wasn't functioning. I was scared to death. I didn't want to take any medicine. I was just anxious. I didn't want to. I was sick. And I'll never forget. And this hurts me really bad. So I was in and out of the hospital, just constantly in the emergency room. And it was my birthday. It was the day, it was the night before my birthday, that morning. And I was begging him to take me to the hospital. I just wanted him to be there for me. I just wanted him to watch me take a pill and make sure I didn't have anything wrong with me. That's all I wanted from him, But instead, it was 4 in the morning, and he wakes up, he rolls over when I'm asking him to please take me to the hospital, and he calls me an attention whore. Yeah. And a jerk, and an idiot, and all kinds of names, and disrespects me. I'm at the lowest of the low. I don't really have any energy to fight him back, or say anything back. I'm at the mercy of this guy. And I laid there, and I said to myself, this is the last time that I ever have a kid with this man. So what I did was I jumped in my Jeep after having no sleep for 2 months, and I drove myself to the hospital for the umpteenth time. And I saw the same doctor that I had been seeing, and I said to her, I can't do it anymore. And I knew that when they admitted me that they were going to drug me up, And I was afraid of that. I was deathly afraid of that. And that's exactly what happened. Yep. But they gave me all kinds of medicine in there. They gave me shots, cocktails, different medicines to help me sleep because I wasn't sleeping. And, my husband was always calling up, checking on me, seeing if I was compliant and taking all the pills and the medicines. And instead of trying to help me, he was just trying to make sure I was on drugs. I mean, after that, I'd started to get better. I got out of the hospital. It was around May. So June came around, and his parents were talking about moving to North Carolina, and we decided that we would move there sooner than them to get a head start. So in June, we moved away from here into Minnesota because that's where he's from and that's where his parents were, and we had a wonderful summer spending it in Minnesota with them, and then we were going to move to North Carolina in September. And it's exactly what we did. Now, when we got out to North Carolina, I said to myself that I was going to make friends with everybody in the neighborhood, that in case anything were to ever happen to me, that I would have support, because I had no family in North Carolina. There was nobody there that I can turn to. My family's all in Chicago. So I had a lovely time meeting my neighbors. I got into a lovely church called Wellspring Church, which I really, really felt at home at. It was a small church, a small Baptist church. And for the first few months, I was doing very well. Well, then, I was still on these medicines that the doctor had put me on, and I was trying to get off one of them. The name of that medicine is called amitriptyline, and it's a very dirty drug. Dirty meaning it has a lot of side effects. And it made me a zombie, and it's an old medicine for depression that neurologists use to treat pain. But it was making me so tired, and I knew that I wasn't functioning on this medicine, and I wanted to get off. I was under the care of a new doctor in the state of North Carolina, and we had insurance, and we had and John found a job at State Farm, and things were good, and so far, and it was great. I was really happy for him. And I was staying home with the baby. And, but I know that I wanted to get off this medicine, and I wasn't feeling good. My back was always hurting. And so we ended up finding this doctor, this, chiropractor who became a really good friend of ours, and I started seeing him for my back pain and for adjustments, and John started seeing him too, and we just became good friends. And February rolled around, so Gianna's birthday, her first birthday, and we had a big party at the house, right? And this day, things were happening that were strange, okay? John had changed over the months of us being in North Carolina. He is a passive-aggressive kind of person. He doesn't really show his aggression. See, where I am more passionate and I am more straightforward with my emotions, he is more like just passive about it. If he's angry about something, he won't come out and say it. He'll just kind of like not shun you, but he won't, like, he'll be passive about it and do things in a way that you won't know that he's like mad. You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain this. But he was just, I don't know. I was very upset a few times and I would cry and he would make fun of me. And that wasn't natural for John to do that. He was always very positive and sweet when I was struggling. So for him to say things like, you're a crybaby, and go back home to Chicago and go be with your parents, I mean, these were things that I didn't expect him to say. But in February, when we were playing some music, and I was trying to get a hold of his phone because he was playing this music on his phone, he wouldn't let me see his phone. For the life of him, he wouldn't let me see it. And I was like, what is your problem? You know, it was really strange. And for years before this, he would never let me see anything that had to do with anything personal. I never knew his social security number. I never knew his passwords for anything. It was like we were living separate lives, but we were married. Interesting, right? Everybody always thought he had a hidden agenda. Everybody always thought he lived a double life, you know, and here I was wanting to believe in the goodness of him, but I always felt that there was something wrong. So anyway, on that day, I just felt that he was hiding something from me, you know. So time rolls on, and April rolls around, and it's Easter, and he tells me we're fighting. You know, we're living this horrible time now in North Carolina. People from the church know what's happening. People from the church know that I'm struggling with him. He tells me that he hates me and that I'm a terrible, terrible wife. And that really hurt me. I mean, I never have heard that before. And that just killed me. And this video is going to be so long, I have a feeling, so bear with me on this. And if you have to skip ahead, I understand. But I feel like I have to tell you the whole truth and all of the details of this so that you understand what I'm dealing with. So after that, I felt like it was over. You know, I mean, I didn't know how to come back from that. So after that, things just got worse. I was supposed to have a procedure done, and it turned out that I didn't have insurance. You know, and this was not the first time that he didn't pay the bills on time. I mean, this was a lot of times of this. But this is insurance, and this was something that I had always told him about. This was the one thing that I definitely needed to have and could not be without. But he didn't pay on time. And you're probably wondering why I didn't take over the bills. Well, I wanted him to have responsibility. I didn't want to, you know, not only that, he never showed me anything he made. He never wanted to sit down and talk about budgets. We never did this. We didn't do grown-up things. He didn't want to do that. I begged him. I begged him until I was blue in the face. I begged him. Well, when I found out that I didn't have insurance, this was in July. Now, I started my company, let me back up a little bit, in March. I started Divining Oil Designs. And I love my company. I make aromatherapeutic jewelry. And I use semi-precious stones and essential oils in my products because I am all about holistic ways of doing things. And in my 20s, I was sick. And that's another story for another day. And I found holistic medicine, and it really helped me. It saved my life. And so I became an advocate for it. Now, when I got out to North Carolina, I found someone that was selling essential oils, and I was all about it. I was excited because I had previously worked with essential oils, and I wanted to get back into it. So I started making this jewelry, and it was so therapeutic for me, and I just wanted to keep going with it. I wanted to leave a legacy behind for Gianna, and I wanted to make it great. I wanted to help other people that were struggling with issues, and I wanted to be an advocate for them and for holistic therapy. So I started this company in March. So July, I was getting ready to do a show, to do the body show in August. So July rolls around, and I was supposed to have a procedure, and they call me and they tell me that I didn't have insurance for like 3 months. And I looked at John and I said, "Did you know I didn't have insurance?" And he told me yes. And I was like, I'm leaving you. I can't do this anymore. I mean, this was like years of this irresponsibility. I mean, before Gianna was born, while I was pregnant, I had to beg him to get health insurance. It was ridiculous. And I remember sending him text messages saying that she would learn the value of responsibility from me. And I actually sent his mom the same text message. Now, I'm not here to slander anyone, but this is true. I did these things. I told him that Gianna would know responsibility from me, because this is ridiculous. And it was like trying to get him to do anything was like pulling teeth. And things were getting constantly shut off, and it was just a nightmare. So when I found out I had no insurance, I was devastated. And I told him I was leaving. So then after that, I did the body show, and I did really well with my jewelry. And he didn't want to believe. He was not supportive of my company whatsoever. Because I wasn't making a lot of money, right away. And I told him, this is going to take a while. This is something you build on. He's kind of like, he looks for like the quick fix, the quick money, the quick dollar. But that takes time and effort, So he didn't believe in anything I was doing. He wasn't supportive in any way. I mean, I was buying beads and stuff like that. I was buying jewelry. I was buying I was buying the stuff to make my jewelry, the materials. But he didn't believe that my business would be successful until August, when he saw how much money I made. Then he wanted to be part of it. And I'm like, no. So after that, so I was without a car for the whole time we were in North Carolina. And it was time for me to get a car. So because we never paid the bills on time, we had terrible credit. He had terrible credit. I had terrible credit. So I had to have him co-sign for me for the car that I have now, which is my Nissan Altima. And he was telling me that I just was using him for a car. I'm like, you're my husband. You would think that you'd want me to have a car to get around, right? Now I realize now that these are just things he was trying to control me with. I didn't know this then. I was just thinking like he was just being selfish, or I don't know what he was doing. But I don't know. He didn't want me to succeed. So a knock comes at the door one day, and it was the police. And I thought, oh my gosh, what is it? Is it my car? Was it because I didn't get the tags or something? No. It was because we were going to be evicted from our townhouse that we were renting because we owed $4,000 in rent. And I had no idea. So I sent him a message and I said, "Hey John, have you been paying the rent?" And he text messages me back and it says, "Yeah." And I'm like, okay. So when he gets home, I show him the paper and I'm like, "No, you haven't been paying the rent." And it's interesting, and I can show, and if anyone wants proof, I can prove it to you, because I have all of the records from my bank statements proving that he was getting money from his parents. So the lovely job he had at State Farm, he got fired from that. And then the second job that he got at State Farm at another location, he got fired from that too. And he blamed me for it. Why blame me for your actions? How did I get you fired? So I was just in a really bad spot. And then our water was shut. I mean, there are other things, like the water was shut off numerous times. Well, one time it was shut off, then it was going to get it shut off again. The first time it was shut off, he played it off that he didn't know that it was going to be shut off. Well, they send you email, or they contact you, and they send you mail. He would always intercept the mail. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't care. Let him intercept the mail. Let him get the mail. I didn't think he was hiding anything. But I found this out later when they were about to shut off our water again, because I got the mail that time, and I got the notice. So, and then he stopped the trash people from coming to collect the trash. So guess what? All of Gianna's dirty diapers were piling up in the garage. I have video of that. I have video of the mess the house was. I would organize the garage, and you know what he would do? He would just throw everything into the garage. He had mountains of stuff. He never wanted to organize, and I was like struggling with that. I'm not saying I'm perfect, okay? There were problems. I had too. I could have been a better wife, I'm sure. But when it comes to responsibility and this kind of thing, I just was getting to my wit's end with this. So, after I found out that we owed so much money on our rent, I was like, so done. I was exhausted. And I told him I was leaving. And I wanted to come back for Gianna. Okay. I didn't believe that he was physically what am I trying to say? I didn't believe he was going to hurt us physically, like abusive. I just felt that he was emotionally abusing us and doing it in a way that we didn't know, just by not doing adult things. Another thing that really hurt me was that he had a cat, okay? And this cat he'd had for years. Now, this cat bit me a few times, and I had to get a tetanus shot, and this was before Gianna was born. And I told him, if we ever have a child, and this is before Gianna was we even were trying for the baby. I told him, if this cat ever bites us, I wanted him to get rid of the cat. He never wanted to do that. He was always like, you're just going to want to put my cat down. And no, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to rehome him so that he wouldn't attack us anymore. Well, in May, and I have record of this too, because we had to go to the hospital, Gianna and I were playing on the bed, and we were having a great time, and this cat was hiding underneath the bed, and I don't know what was wrong with him this day, but Gianna ended up screaming, and the cat ended up jumping on the bed and attacking us brutally. He attacked her 4 times and bit her up, and me too, and I was screaming bloody murder. John was somewhere in the townhouse. He comes in and he's like standing there, and I'm like, help us, like, what are you doing? You're watching this. So he ends up getting some off. But cat bites, if you've ever had a cat bite, for one, they're dirty. You have to have tetanus shot after getting a cat bite, because the mouths of the cat are really dirty. They don't produce a lot of saliva. Now, I didn't know this until I was bit from the cat, like years ago, when I had to get a tetanus shot. And I was devastated from this, because my little baby was bit up from this cat that I told him to get rid of years ago. So we had to go to the hospital, and they wanted to put Gianna on antibiotics. And I said, no, not unless she has an infection. because I know what antibiotics can do to a person, because I've been there. So we watched her closely, and they gave her antibiotic ointment. And I felt terrible for her, because I know how much suffering I was in from the cat bite. So, I mean, I could just imagine her little head. She was only, she wasn't even a year old. She was like, no, she was a year old. I'm sorry. She was, February, March, April, May, 12. She was 15 months old. I mean, a little baby. Anyway. So after that happened, guess what he did? He locked up the cat in a room. Yeah. Instead of rehoming him and trying his best to find him a home, he locked him up 24/7 in the spare bedroom. And I have video of that. So if you'd like to see that, you let me know. So anyway, where was I? So after the whole cops come, we owe $4,000. I tell him I'm leaving him, and I started looking for a job. I had not worked for somebody else since the year of 2010. The reason why is because I got hurt on the job back then, and that guy that I slaved and killed myself for didn't value me. So I told myself, never again would I work for somebody that didn't value me. So I started my own companies, and I had a few. And I did well, and I loved it. So here I was looking for a job. I didn't care. I just wanted to get out. Okay? Now, I wasn't abandoning anybody. I mean, he could say this all day long. Okay. We made a verbal agreement, and this is what the problem was. Verbal. I needed to have this in writing, but I didn't. I said I was coming back for Gianna, and once I left the house in the state of North Carolina, it is called domestic trespass. You cannot come back to the house, or they will arrest you. Yeah. And I didn't know anything about the law. I didn't know that he would be so evil or not let me back. I had no idea. We decided that we would separate and that I would come back. I would never leave my daughter. And I definitely did not want to bring her with me to be homeless. That was not going to happen. And I wasn't. The thing is, in September, I did have a consultation with the divorce lawyers of Raleigh. And they told me not to leave the state of North Carolina with Gianna. And I was afraid. And that is why I didn't take Gianna with me. It had nothing to do with me leaving her or abandoning her. That's BS. I would never do that. This was all about John and me leaving him. I had every plan to come back for her. Well, I wasn't able to do that. And here we are. So it's been 10 months of brutal hell. After I left, he tried to put an order of protection on me. Judge dismissed that. Make a long story short, there's no domestic violence. I'm not violent. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I have no record. Please, for all of you out there, you want to pull my background, I would tell you to feel free. Please look me up. You will find nothing. The only thing that it can possibly work against me is my anxiety. The terrible, terrible anxiety that I had after my baby was born. He is using that against me. I mean, I was literally burning on a daily basis. So sick. He is using that terrible time against me. Because there's nothing else he has. He wants me to do, I don't know, he wants me to try to break the law so that I could, have a record. So that he can say to the court, see, Ginny's crazy. See what she does? She's not a good mom. No, because I have anxiety does not make me an unfit parent. A lot of people in this world suffer from anxiety. A lot of people in this world suffer from depression. A lot of people take medicine for this. Okay, so yeah, he tried to get the order of protection, and that didn't work. Then he moved. I moved. He moved. I didn't know where he was. He was hiding with Gianna. And what did I do? I was calling everybody. And let me tell you about that lovely church that I was attending. You can look them up too. Wellspring Church. They are in Clayton, in North Carolina. They totally shunned me. After they found out that I was leaving him, they wanted nothing to do with me. Now, I totally agree with staying together and working it out. I do. Completely. But this was something that I was the only one trying to work it out. We went to counseling, and it didn't work. They were pointing the fingers at me, saying that this was my fault. Like, I was the only one in the relationship. Of course I'm upset. What am I going to do? Not be emotional? I mean, this is my child. This is my husband. I'm emotionally connected to these people. What am I supposed to do? Be stoic? No. People aren't like that. Well, at least I'm not like that. I'm a very passionate and emotional person. Well, anyway, that didn't work. They were trying to say that I was angry and was had borderline personality disorder. Okay, I've never been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. I had a temper, and I grew up in a family that fought all the time. But once I left this family, I was better. Just because I speak up for myself and speak the truth doesn't mean I have borderline personality disorder. It just means I'm a straightforward, honest person. I realize that things can be said tactfully. Okay, I get it. Sometimes I would say things without speaking. Okay. I'm learning. I'm getting better. But I don't believe I have that. Nor does my current doctor, who has already given me my mental evaluation a year ago. Anyway. And when I was in the hospital, my doctor was great. I mean, one of the best in Chicago. Never once said I had borderline personality disorder. Never once. He said I had panic disorder. Yes, that's something I've been diagnosed with, but not borderline. Anyway, so because because he was missing and I had no idea where he was, I was contacting him. And so it's December of 2015. And I left him in October of 2015. October 19th, 2015, I left him. So December rolls around and I'm contacting him. What does he do? He takes out a charge on me for cyber stalking because I'm trying to get in touch with him and I'm trying to get my stuff and I'm trying to sell things because I was homeless. I mean, I lived with a friend in a trailer, a nice one, okay, with someone who I became very good friends with later on. Because I had nowhere to go and I didn't want to leave the state and I couldn't go back. Even though I wanted to go back and work it out. I mean, I wanted to work it out for Gianna. I mean, John had asked me if I wanted to go back to him. No, I didn't want to go back to him, but I wanted to definitely be part of Gianna's life. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to raise her, and I said, let's do this. Let's co-parent. Let's do this right. Let's do this civilly. No, you don't want to do any of that. I didn't spend not one holiday with Gianna. Not Thanksgiving, not Christmas, not New Year's, not a one. And I didn't have money for a lawyer. See, John motioned for temporary custody a week after I left him. And he was on the road to getting a lawyer. Now, his parents, for I don't know how long, have been supporting him financially. A grown man, 39 years old, with a master's degree. They continue to support him. They paid for our wedding. They paid for his car. They paid for all of our rent, I'm sure, because we owed $4,000 on it. And he told me this, and I said to him, every time they paid, I said, is this going to be the last time? He's like, yeah. It was not the last time. He was constantly running back to his parents for money. It's sickening. But anyway, I can't do that. My parents don't have the money. All they can do is give me a place to stay. And they're very supportive of me, especially now in this time. But no, I don't have wealthy parents to go back to for money when things go wrong. And yeah, things were very wrong for a long time. Oh, so after the cyber stalking thing, I wasn't able to get a place because that was coming up in my background, even though it was just an extension of the civil suit. It wasn't really civil, it was criminal, because that's considered a misdemeanor in the state of North Carolina, and anybody can take out a charge on anybody for anything. I learned this from my lawyer recently. Well, I was back and forth in court for this charge. My lawyer was never appearing, and it was always getting continued, and it was stressing me out because I had nowhere to go, and I was trying to get a place, and every place was declining me, denying me. And let's not forget about all of the people I was trying to contact. You name it. The sheriffs, legal aid, they don't have family law there. Like, that's pro bono. The state of North Carolina, for one, is a conservative state. Two, it's very small. They don't have a lot of resources there. I can tell you, I contacted legal aid, sheriff's department, the Duke, all of the law schools, women's shelters, women's groups, LegalZoom, the state of North Carolina, the attorney general, churches, you name it, I've tried. We tried to go to mediation. He didn't want to do mediation. He didn't want me to be part of Gianna's life. Why? Why? Because I'm a bad person? No, because he wants the control. That's what he wants. I'm learning this now. I didn't know this then. But why else? Why? Because I was taking amitriptyline and it made me zombie. I got myself off that. Myself. Why? Because sometimes I needed a mommy break and I would send her to the neighbor while I was doing my jewelry. Why? Because I didn't want her to eat the beads. I was actually looking out for her, and I would only send her next door for like 2 hours until we got home. Why? Because we put her in her playpen to play while we, had a break. He did it too. But he's trying to say I did it. Well, what else does he have? I'm a good mother. I am worried to death about Gianna. To death. And there is nothing that I can do. She's in the state of North Carolina with people I don't even know, and I have no rights to her. And so we got this job in about May or something like that, working at a really great bar in Raleigh. And I used to own my own mixology service. We did that here in Chicago for 2 years, and it was really great money, and it was great. And so I said, why don't I go back to bar? It's what I do. It's what I know how to do. It's good money. So I worked at this bar, and it just so happened that this lawyer came in, And it was really slow in the bar. And I started talking to this person. Well, they told me that they were lawyers. And I was like, oh my gosh, what if I asked them about my situation? So I did. And I told them what I was going through. And this lawyer told me that she would take on my case. And I was ecstatic. She worked in Wake County, though. So my things are in Johnston County. So she said that she really didn't serve Johnston County, but she would do it for me. And her name was Jane Weatherly. And she was great. We got in front of the judge, and I was able to get some visitation. So actually, this was not in May. This might have been in March, because I remember seeing Gianna for my birthday. It was our first visit, April 10th. My birthday's April 12th. So seeing Gianna, I had visitation Wednesday, Thursday, and every other Sunday. And the judge wanted me to find a place to live, and she wanted me to make friends with people in the state to have a support network. But I'm like, I don't really trust people. But I was trying to listen to her and take her advice. Obviously, she's the judge. And I had some visitation. It was really nice to see her and spend time with Gianna. But I was seeing Gianna on John's territory. He had her in this daycare, right, that I had no say in at all. And one day, and this is where it went bad, one day it was really hot. Now, if anybody knows the state of North Carolina, it's really hot there. And it was like 95. I contacted my lawyer, and I was really upset. I wanted her to be inside, because I would never leave my baby out in that weather. So I went over there. I was crying because I knew that I was upset and I didn't want to make a scene. So I told her, this daycare worker, this daycare owner, that I wanted Gianna to be inside. Well, she gave me a hard time about it. And I believe they were trying to make me be the bad person the whole time. They were constantly reporting back to John. This wasn't neutral ground. I was on his territory. And because I made a scene about it, John told me that my visitation there at that daycare was terminated. That was also in the custody order too. That if I interrupted or disrupted her daycare time, I wasn't. I was just upset because my baby that came out of my body was uncomfortable. Okay, if I'm uncomfortable, she's uncomfortable. I'm sorry. She was red in the face. She was barely moving. Now, she's like a very active kid. She was tired. She was heat stroked, okay? I could tell. So, of course, I was upset. And here I am with my hands tied behind my back, hardly having a say. Okay? It's hard, okay? Mothers out there, you know what I'm talking about. Man, this video is almost an hour long. Okay. Sorry, but 10 months of facts and story it takes a while. So, after that, I was only able to see her on Sundays, right? And I was supposed to see her on Mother's Day, because that was my time to see her. And because I didn't let John know, like within the time frame, like I was a little bit late in letting him know where I wanted to meet, because I was on the phone with my boss as I was working for a new company. Actually, I was doing marketing, which is my background. He said I couldn't see her on Mother's Day, and that devastated me. And I was really upset by that. He was trying to push my buttons, and he knows what to do and get under my skin because he wants me to freak out and get mad and, be emotional. He's using Gianna in this situation. He's not looking out for her best interest. He can say that all day. He's not. He's keeping her from me. Why? This is only hurting her. This isn't helping her. And and other things too. She's calling other people mama. He doesn't correct her. He doesn't even have me as an emergency contact if something were to happen to her. Who does this to somebody? 10 years of your life you spend with someone, they do this to you? It's crazy. So anyway, Mother's Day, I wasn't able to see her. And I was upset. I had to wait 2 weeks later, and that was the last time I saw her. It was in the mall in Raleigh. And we went to Build-A-Bear. And I was really upset when I saw her. I wanted to know everything that was going on with her. I wanted to know if she was potty trained, how she was doing. He didn't want to tell me anything. Well, we got into Build-A-Bear, and I was sending him text messages saying, we need to talk about this. This is important stuff. Let's talk about it. No, he didn't want to talk about any of that. It looks like I'm not wearing anything, but I am. He didn't want to talk about anything. Well, after I made the little doggy that we made, we left, and I wanted to go change her, and I had to go to the bathroom, and we did, and I changed her, and I saw how dirty her shoes were and how dirty her socks were, and I didn't take a picture of this like I should have, but I just was so heartbroken by this. All I could do was take her out of the bathroom and sit on a bench and cry. And she looked at me and she goes, "Cry? Why are you crying?" And I was devastated. She was tired and she fell asleep on my shoulder, and it was so wonderful just to sit there for the 15 minutes that I had to be with her. Now, after that, I saw a police officer walk in. 30 seconds later, John walks in, and I knew that that police officer was for me. John walks over and he says, "Time's up." And I'm like, do you see the baby sleeping? Do you see me crying? I had my feet on the stroller, and this was bad of me, okay? I kicked the stroller in his direction, and I was upset. I was crying. The baby was upset. The baby was sleeping. I was to my limits. He's got me to my limits here, and he knows that. And things just didn't go very well. The baby woke up, and she went to him right away, and he put her in her stroller, and he goes, "Say goodbye." And I squatted down in front of Gianna, in front of her, and I said, looked up at him, and I said, "No." And he goes, "Say goodbye." And I'm like, "No." And he's like, "That police officer over there, she's for you." And I'm like, "Yeah, I gathered that." So I was looking at Gianna, and I told Gianna that John was not a good person. I know. Okay, I know what you're thinking, but I said this. And I am honest about it. I'm not hiding this. I said that. And I stormed out of there, punching the diaper bag that he had that he was wearing on his shoulder. And I was really upset. Wow, one time I got really upset, right? So after that, he motioned to terminate all my visitation. And because I had nowhere to live and I was homeless and running from place to place, and my parents were begging me for the last 8 months to come back home, I made that decision to go home. And it was before court, and I just didn't have anywhere to go. I didn't have a job. I didn't have anywhere to go. I was working at that place in Raleigh, and it didn't work out there because they weren't paying me. No one was paying me. It was crazy. I couldn't find a job. I'm a smart person. It just didn't seem like things wanted to work there for me. It was crazy. But nothing was working. And I believe everything has a reason. There's a purpose for everything and a reason for everything. Maybe this is the reason for me to put this out there for everybody to read, for everybody to hear, for everybody to see, for everybody to know. So I came home, and the day of court, I called the court, and I was there by phone, and I was pro se. And the reason why that was because my lawyer wasn't able to litigate my case anymore because there was just too much litigation. John's not civilized. He wants to fight on every single thing. I don't want to fight. We went to mediation. He didn't want to do mediation. I begged him. I have emails to him saying I love him, saying please don't do this, please have mercy, if you want to see those emails, I can send you those too. So I had no lawyer, and I had no money, and I had nowhere to stay, so I came home. And my parents said, come home and you can stay here rent free, and you can save your money to get Gianna. And that's the story. And now here I am with this GoFundMe campaign trying to raise money for a lawyer. Now I did go back to North Carolina recently for the cyber stalking charge, which I had to take a plea deal on because, yes, I did send him lots of text messages, and yes, I was very upset. And they weren't always about Gianna. So yes, right now I have unsupervised probation for 6 months, and then this charge will be dismissed, and then I'll have to get it expunged because I have no charges. This is the only thing I've ever done. I mean, I'm 36 years old. Who wants to start having a criminal record at 36? And it's a misdemeanor. It's cyber stalking. It's not even cyber stalking. I'm contacting my husband and trying to get in touch with my daughter. So, that's pretty much the story, really. Years of not paying bills. Him having a big support network. Me, trying my hardest to do whatever I can to raise this money to, hire a lawyer. Lawyers are expensive and they're greedy, okay? I'm sorry, but that's the truth of the matter. Why I say that is because I've cried to numerous lawyers. When I went out there, I had a consultation with another lawyer with the same lawyer I had a consultation with before. It was $250 for his consultation, which I paid, and then he wanted $5,000 for the retainer fee. $5,000. Okay, who has $5,000 just laying around? I don't. I have to work for my money. John has his parents to pay. Okay, or whatever. I don't even know how he's getting the money. The guy doesn't work. I don't know what he does. And that's the scary thing about it. I don't know anything about Gianna. I don't know what she's doing. I don't know how she is. I don't know if she's happy, sad, crying, miserable, depressed. I don't know what's going on. I believe I have a say in her well-being. And I will tell you that I am the one that is the most responsible. Because I left, they are saying that, I'm unfit or I'm, I have nowhere to stay. Well, it's because I have to pretty much build myself up from the ground and establish myself again. He lives in a trailer in the middle of Middlesex somewhere. I don't even know what it looks like on the inside. I don't know if he has the cat. He said that he got rid of the cat, but he could be lying to me. I don't know. I just need to get her back. I'm miserable without her, and I'm dying. I die a little bit more every day. It's like living without a limb. It's like living without your heart and soul. So I am asking you to please open your heart, open your mind. If you have any questions regarding any of this, please let me know, because I have documents, and eventually I will get the other documents that I need from the places that he never paid. And you probably ask, well, why didn't I work? Well, I was trying to get my business up and running. I mean, John knew that I wanted to work for myself, and he supported that. He just didn't support the company. He didn't want to go full force into it. But he was getting fired from his jobs left and right. I don't know why. And then, I mean, there's more to it. We didn't file the taxes. I couldn't get the tax credit. He kept saying to me, I don't know why they're not sending you the W-2 from his previous employer. Well, I know why. It's because he blocked them from sending me anything through my email. And I thought I was nuts. But I was messing around in my email one day, and I found that they were on the block senders list. And I called him out on that. And you know what he said? I don't remember doing that. Yeah. Typical narcissist. Doesn't want to take any responsibility. Now, I take responsibility. I do. I take responsibility for marrying the man. I take responsibility for loving him. I take responsibility for believing in him. And, you know, when I met the divorce attorneys of Raleigh, the divorce lawyers, she asked me, do you think that he's going to make it hard on you? This was before any of this. This is when I was looking to get the divorce and to what it would take and all that. I said, you know what? I don't think he's going to be evil about it. Yeah. Boy, was I wrong. So anyway, I just miss Gianna. I just want her back in my life. I want to have this be fair. If this was me, if this was me, I would never do this to John. I believe that he has a right to see her. I do. I believe I have a right to be with her. I am not a bad person. I am a good person. I don't deserve this. Gianna does not deserve this. What I'm worried about mostly is that this is going to scar her, that she is going to, I'm all about energy, and that's what I do with my bracelets. So I work with energy, and I'm afraid that she is able to feel this energy, this negativity. You know, I don't want any of this. I would fight John all day long, okay? I would, right? But my daughter is part of this, and she doesn't have to be. She's an innocent victim in this terrible thing she's caught in. This doesn't have to be this way, and I don't want it to be this way. And I want to raise awareness on this. This isn't right. I mean, I'm afraid for her. We're not thinking long term. I even told him, why don't we just save this money for her school, for whatever, for her car, for her future? I mean, why do this? Why? I don't understand. But anyway, I am asking you, please find it in your heart to listen to this story, to donate to this cause, to this campaign. Lawyers are very expensive. They require lots of money. There's a lot of paperwork involved, especially when one person is trying to be civil and the other one isn't. There's a lot of litigation. It's just a lot. So if anybody has any resources, if anybody has any tips, if anybody knows any lawyers in North Carolina, I mean, if anybody knows anything, please, I would appreciate anything at this time, because I have gone everywhere. I have tried everything. I don't know what else to do anymore. I don't. I mean, I don't want to go on much longer without the baby. I don't want her to call other people mama. I want her to know me as mama. I'm her mama. Yes, if somebody else comes into her life, you know, if John gets married again, okay, that's great, fine. But I want her to know me. I want to have a relationship with her. I believe that I am entitled to that. I believe that I am a good person. I don't believe that I have no ill will toward anyone. Not even John. I told that guy I loved him. I mean, I still love him. And you know what he tells me? He tells me to get help. So anyway, I appreciate you listening to this long video. It's an hour long now. I appreciate all of it. I appreciate you listening. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call me, contact me, get in touch with me. Find me on Divining Oils, my page. Find me on Facebook. Find me on YouTube. But this is going everywhere. I'm going to be posting this, and I want this to get as much exposure as possible. Please, if you can donate anything to my GoFundMe, I would greatly appreciate that. I would love to be, I need to be back with my baby. I am literally dying. Literally. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Be blessed.